on the mark, so it'll be 200.
Okay.
For the, let's see, who's who. For the defense, we have Mr. Stearns. For the plaintiff, we have Mr. Hayworth. We got a witness, we got a court, and we're going to go 200 words a minute, and we're going for 17 whole minutes. So get comfy and
put on your Depend.
Here we go. Starting, we're going to be in questioning by defense counsel, Mr. Stearns.
Are we recording?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Your comment
I
was
wanted to make sure my inappropriate comment got captured.
Oh, it was, yes.
Good. Okay, is that me? Am I Mr. Stearns?
Yes, you are.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Okay. Ready? Do you recall a flashlight incident?
Yes, sir.
How do you recall the flashlight? How was it used?
Like if he wanted to feel, you know.
Pardon?
Like if he wanted to, you know, if the flashlight, you know, he hit me in the nose 3 times.
Who hit you in the nose 3 times?
Officer Drossel.
At any time after you were hit with the flashlight, did your nose start to bleed?
Yes, sir.
Did you have on that shirt at that time?
Yes, sir.
Is that the way that you were dressed?
Yes, sir.
There is blood on there?
Yes, sir, and I have blood.
There's no question pending. Wait for the question, Joe. Mr. Stearns?
Did Officer Drossel see that bloody shirt?
Yes, sir.
Did you have it on when you went to the police station?
Yes, sir.
When did you take it off?
Oh, at the hospital?
At the hospital. How many officers did you observe being around you during that evening?
Oh, about 5 or more, you know, because I saw they were coming, you know.
Of this 5 or more, were the officers hitting you?
Yes, sir.
Did you tell this to the police sergeant at the Azusa police station?
Yes, sir.
What did you say?
Objection, hearsay.
I didn't hear.
Just a minute, Mr. Medina. That will be stricken. The objection will be sustained. Let's not make a forum out of this, Mr. Stearns. There is no issue pending as to whether or not there is police brutality. Let's stick to the issues in the petition.
Now, I hadn't thought of that, Your Honor. Police brutality. Now, were you taken to the hospital?
Yes, sir.
And to which hospital?
General Hospital. I was admitted one night.
General Hospital. Who took you there?
Parents.
Pardon?
Parents.
Your parents. Were they at the police station?
Yes, sir.
And the officers released you to your parents to go to the General Hospital?
Yes, sir.
Did you tell the officers or at least a booking sergeant that you were going to the General Hospital?
It's immaterial, Mr. Stearns, whether he told him or not. What is the materiality of that with respect to the allegations of the petition?
How long were you in the General Hospital?
Objection, immaterial.
Immaterial. Objection is sustained.
Did you go to the General Hospital?
Objection, asked and answered.
Immaterial. Asked and answered. Sustained. Mr. Stearns.
When did you come out of the hospital?
Objection, immaterial.
Sustained. The court does not doubt that the minor was injured, Mr. Stearns, as a result of whatever he did and as a result of whatever someone else did. The question is whether or not the allegations in the petition have been met by the evidence. I don't question the minor's injury or hurt.
I think it would go to the seriousness of the injuries.
What would go to the seriousness of the injuries?
The fact that he went to the hospital.
The seriousness of the injuries would go along with the allegation of the petition. In fact, in the court's mind, if the minor did, in fact, resist arrest, then whatever injuries he sustained by reason of his own actions. The police officers are not bound to stand quietly by and let the minor do whatever he wants to once he was under arrest.
I agree.
He was under arrest. If he wanted to continue to resist the officers at that time, whatever injuries resulted were a result of whatever he himself did. And I say again, I don't doubt that the minor was injured. The question is whether it was. There are no allegations in the petition in order to have a situation of a self-defense or any other defense with respect to his injuries. So the materiality of his having to go to the hospital just does not show up. Please proceed.
Mr. Medina, do you recall how many times you were put into the police car?
Once.
One time. Did you get out of the car at any time?
Yes, sir. When they were hitting me, I tried getting out, you know.
Pardon?
Yes, sir.
Did you get out one time?
Yes, sir.
And then you were put back into the car?
Yes, sir.
When the car left the scene of the altercation there, you were sitting in an upright position?
Yes, sir.
And there was an officer sitting next to you, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you went to the booking office at the Azusa police station?
Yes, sir.
When did the officer read to you your constitutional rights?
Objection. It assumes a fact, not an evidence.
Sustained. There has not been any question about whether or not the minor was advised of his constitutional rights. There were no statements involved. It assumes a fact, not an evidence, that he was advised of his constitutional rights, although he might have been. I don't know. You might ask him.
Were you advised of your constitutional rights?
Objection. Immaterial.
Still overruled, Mr. Hayworth.
Yes, sir, when I left.
When?
When I left the police station.
When you left?
Yes.
Was it the first time?
Yes.
Was it more than once?
Was that the only time?
They took me to the police station, and I got released to my parents. That is when they gave me the rights and the fingerprints.
I see.
In other words, when you were there booked, you were advised of your rights. Is that what you're saying?
Not until I left the police station.
When were you fingerprinted?
When I left.
It was before you left?
You see, I was leaving, given to my parents, that is when they gave me my property, and then I was fingerprinted, and they gave me my rights and everything, which they were supposed to give me when I first got arrested.
Does the court, I'd like to have this shirt in evidence.
It will not be received in evidence. It has no probative or material value whatsoever. It will be marked for identification. Well, we won't even mark it. We don't have to have the thing in evidence. There is no point in that being introduced in evidence, Mr. Stearns. Again, I say there is no question, I don't think, in the court's mind that there was an injury. What probative value does the shirt have?
The direct evidence of bleeding.
The court makes a finding that the minor bled at the time that he had this altercation and stained his shirt.
Were you hit by any other officers other than Officer Bruton?
Yes, sir.
Do you know the name of the officer?
Yes, sir.
What was his name?
Drossel and Arse and a sergeant when I was at the police station.
A sergeant at the police station hit you also?
Yes, well, he had stripes on his shirt, and he was hitting me too,
Were you at the police station?
No, we was in the police car.
How many officers were in the police car with you?
2.
2?
When they took me.
That is the driver and one sitting by you.
Yes, sir.
Who was sitting by you?
Officer Bruton.
Officer Bruton?
Bruton.
I see. Were you hit at the police station?
Objection. Immaterial as to what occurred at the police station.
There has been no evidence of that. It is assuming a fact, not an evidence. The objection will be sustained, Mr. Stearns. Let's proceed in this matter.
Well, then who hit you at the scene other than Officer Bruton?
Drossel and Arse, and there was about 2 more officers. I don't know their names, recall their names.
When did they hit you? Was that during the altercation?
In the police car.
In the police car?
Uh-huh.
What did they hit you with?
Flashlights and clubs and fist.
Flashlights and clubs and fists?
Uh-huh.
Oh my, they hit you on what part of your body?
My fist and the body and the legs.
Did you at any time strike back either one of the officers?
I couldn't, I was handcuffed.
The answer, Your Honor, I don't feel is responsive.
Sustained. Now, did you strike either one of the officers?
No, sir.
Did you object to either one of the officers striking you?
Yes, sir.
What did you say to them?
They told them to leave me alone, then he goes, no. Can I say it? Well, you are a dirty...
No, you answer the question.
You are a dirty Mexican.
That has been asked and answered 3 times now, Mr. Stearns. Now, we may proceed in this matter.
Were you intoxicated that evening?
No, sir.
Did you cause a disturbance of any kind in the neighborhood?
No, sir.
Did you swear at the officers?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember Mr. Bruton being... No, I beg your pardon. Withdraw that. Strike that. Do you recall Mr. Martinez being there that evening?
Yes, sir.
How many officers altogether did you see arrive on the scene that evening?
That has been asked and answered, Mr. Stearns, twice now.
Not to the witness, Your Honor.
Yes, it has. It has been asked and answered 3 times. Please proceed. He has said 4 or 5 officers is what he has testified to 3 times now.
I am sorry, I didn't get it.
In any event, the objection is sustained. The question has been asked and answered. Anything further of this witness, Mr. Stearns?
No, I have nothing further.
Mr. Hayworth?
Mr. Medina, where had you been coming from that evening?
Same house I was at.
How come you were out on the corner?
I walked out to the sidewalk and came back.
Now, when you walked out to the sidewalk, what was your purpose in doing that?
Oh, I was going to leave Mr. Martinez's house.
Did you change your mind when you got to the sidewalk?
A girl called me back.
Was the reason that you changed your mind because you saw a police automobile arriving on the scene?
No, sir.
Did you see the police car coming before you got to the porch?
No, sir.
You didn't see it until you got to the porch.
No, I was on the porch.
When you were on the porch, how many police cars did you see?
1, sir.
You saw only 1?
Uh-huh.
How many officers were in it?
2.
Did either of these officers come up to you?
Yes, sir.
Was it that officer that started the fight that night?
Yes, sir.
And was that officer Bruton or Drossel?
Bruton.
Now, about 3 nights previous to that, you had some kind of contact with Officer Drossel. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And had there been some hard feelings on that occasion?
No, sir.
You didn't get picked on by Officer Drossel that night?
No.
In April of this year, how did you have contact with Officer Drossel?
No, sir.
Not at the city recreation hall?
No, I don't think so.
You don't remember a recreation director asking you some questions at the city recreation hall on April 9th?
No.
Do you remember Officer Drossel and an Officer Glancy coming there?
I remember Officer Glancy there. I see him every once in a while.
Did you have some kind of contact or hard feelings with Officer Glancy that April night?
No.
He didn't pick on you?
No.
And you didn't pick on him?
No.
Going back to February 27th of this year, I believe you mentioned an Officer Arce,
Yes, sir.
A-R-C-E.
Yes, sir.
Is that a Spanish name?
I don't know. It probably is. I just call him by Arse.
Now, on February 21st of this year, did you have some kind of contact with Officer Arce?
Yes, sir.
Is Officer Arce a Mexican?
No, sir.
You don't believe he's a Mexican?
You mean of Latin American descent, Mr. Hayworth?
Or a Mexican nationality, Your Honor. Now, this contact with Officer Arce, were there some kind of hard feelings between you and Arce?
No.
You didn't call him a bastard?
No, he called me a bastard.
Was this kind of a hard feeling? You didn't feel bad about this?
No.
You didn't mind him calling you that?
No.
That is the only thing that happened on February 21st. Is that correct? Officer Arce called you a bastard and there were no hard feelings.
No hard feelings.
Going back to January, did you have some kind of a contact with Officer Perkaiser?
No.
Were you in January of this year at the city park on a bench, particularly January 27th of this year?
Yes, sir.
Were you at the city park
Uh-huh.
on the bench?
Yes, sir.
And you had some kind of a contact with Officer Perkaiser?
I don't know his name, but I know the officer.
Your mother came onto the scene too, didn't she?
Yes, sir.
And did you have any kind of hard feelings or hard words with Officer Perkaiser?
No, sir.
Did you call him any names?
Yes, sir.
And did he call you any names?
No, sir.
Now you are telling the court that on January 27th of this year, the last incident, another officer came up to you and started picking on you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, why do you think he did that?
I don't know, sir.
Did he hit you with his billy club?
No, he just grabbed me.
Did he hit you with his billy club later?
Yes.
Would you want to change that testimony if you knew that the Azusa Police Department does not carry billy clubs?
No.
You still believe that he had a billy club that he was hitting you with that night?
Yes.
You saw it.
Yes, sir.
Did the officer hit you with the billy club that night, the 27th?
You are going beyond the scope of the direct testimony in the cross, Mr. Hayworth. I think the court's heard enough.
Just 1 or 2 more questions, if I may, Your Honor.
Not if it's beyond the scope.
No, not in that area, Your Honor.
All right.
I believe you told the court that you were sitting in the back seat of this automobile.
Yes, sir.
What are we talking about? We have extended the time period from January until September or July now. Maybe counsel will attempt to bring us back to July 27th.
Coming back to July 27th of this year when the officer came up and started picking on you, did you find yourself in the back seat of the squad car after a short period of time?
Yes, sir.
I believe you told the court that you were seated in the back seat. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did the door which you were sitting by open up?
Officer opened it.
The officer what?
One of the officers was opening the door and hit me, and with my feet I was hitting, and I kicked my feet and I opened the door.
You were kicking the door open with your feet.
I kicked back the door to open it.
Who opened the door?
I did.
How?
My feet.
You say the officer who opened the door was hitting you, and you opened the door?
There was 2 doors in the car, and they were hitting me. I opened the other door at the time to attract attention to people.
You opened it with your feet?
Just lifted it up.
Lifted what up?
The handle.
Was the door latched down?
No.
Aren't these doors made so you can't open them from the inside?
No, I opened it.
Mr. Hayworth?
How many times did you open the door?
Once.
Just once.
Uh-huh.
How many times did you try to get out of the back seat of that automobile?
I didn't try getting on the back seat of the police car, you know.
You never tried getting to the back seat?
No, just when the cop was hitting me, you know, he opened it and I stuck my feet out and I walked out a little bit, and then I think it was Officer Drossel took me back.
Had you walked out a little bit?
Yes, sir.
How many feet?
I can't recall.
Why?
They was hitting that, those flashlights, and I don't think I could take that pain.
I see. You went to get out of the back seat of the automobile to avoid being hit further.
Yes, sir.
Had the officer told you to stay in the back seat of the car?
Yes, sir.
Did you actually sit up straight?
Yes, sir.
Did they tell you that if you complied with the officer's request that they would stop hitting you?
They were hitting me anyway.
Because they felt that you were not complying.
Uh-huh.
Is the answer yes?
Yes, sir.
When you got out of that car, the one time that you told the court about, how many other police officers were around at that time?
I'd say about 5.
They had come on the scene since the first ones arrived.
When I was in the police car, you mean? When they were hitting me?
I am speaking of the time you opened the car door with your foot and got out.
I seen police cars, but don't recall how many.
Were they also hitting you at that time?
No, when I got inside the police car.
Who lives at that corner where you were at?
Dolores, Yolanda.
Just a second. Who was the first one?
Her name is Dolores.
What is her last name?
One is Garcia, and the other one, I don't know the last name, sir.
They are good friends.
Yes, sir.
They are present in court today.
Yes, sir.
Have you talked with them about this incident?
No, sir. I think my lawyer has.
What is your home address?
502 Dual.
I object as immaterial, irrelevant, and immaterial.
It is part of the record, Mr. Stearns. I have already entered the complete address for the minor as 502 Duell Street. That is your address?
Yes, sir.
How far is that from 4th and Soldano?
I'd say about 4 blocks.
Mr. Hayworth?
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Stearns?
Nothing further.
You may step down. Next witness, please.
Mr. Martinez, would you take the stand?
Your Honor, I am going to object to Mr. Martinez being called as a witness.
I will sustain the objection until such time as he has been called. You can't call him as a witness, Mr. Stearns.
May I talk?
You may talk to your lawyer.
I am not aware of anything.
Mr. Medina, please sit down. He is trying to call upon the co-subjects.
Do you know, I had given his name John Martinez. That is another one that we have got. Another one.
Is this one?
Yes.
You want a percipient witness that observed anything that went on, Mr. Stearns? However, you haven't talked to this witness. I am going to cut him off if he can't testify to percipient observations at the time of the incident. John Martinez, take the witness stand. State your full name for the record, please. Are you chewing gum?
No.
State and spell your name for the record.
John Martinez, Martinez.
Mr. Stearns?
Mr. Martinez, are you related to Mr. Arthur Martinez?
No.
Do you recall the incident where Mr. Medina was arrested one evening? Do you recall that incident?
Yes.
Do you recall the date?
No.
Have you observed him arrested more than once?
What?
Have you observed him arrested more than once?
No.
Mr. Stearns?
Yes. Was it about July 27th?
Was it this year?
Yes, it was a couple of months ago.
Do you know what month it was? This is September.
Yes, it was about July.
Was it after July 4th?
Yes, I'd say it was.
Was it before Labor Day?
I don't remember.
Mr. Stearns?
Do you know Joe Medina?
Yes.
Do you recall being at his home around 10 p.m. when the officers came there?
Weird.